Hi guys, I am Baron Avi out of Fear and I here in Winter's Edge. I'm a Paragon Warrior, and welcome to Warrior Chats 4.
Hello, I am
Woohoo.
Baronet Haraldr Doorsmasher. I am out of the Ever-Living Woods. I'm a Paragon Warrior. And joining us today is our...
Sid?
Go ahead.
I'm Sid. I'm a, I don't know. I'm a fifth level warrior. 2 weeks I'll have it. I'll finally have it sixth. I'm a heavier guy. I'm a slower dude. I do the tank thing.
And I'm Renn Kenobi from Fear and I. I'm a new player to Amp Guard. I believe I'm level 3 warrior. So I'm here to just, ask some good questions. If I can think of them.
So our topic today, since we're now going down the abilities in order of level, is Harden. I'll go ahead and read it straight from the rulebook. That way we've got a baseline. We'll discuss some issues with it, and just kind of talk about common misconceptions. Harden is an enchantment of the Protection School. You can target yourself with it. The incant for it is, I enchant thee with Harden 3 times. It's the first thing that you have to have an enchantment strip for as a warrior. So you remember from the equipment video, we talked about one of the things you have to have is enchant strips. This is the first time you need one. And it says, bearer's weapons or shield may only be destroyed by magic balls or verbals which destroy objects. And it has the limitation that it will affect either your weapons or your shield, but not both. Now, to me, this is a pretty solid ability. It's the least flashy of any of our abilities, but it's a good one. The ability to make all of your stuff, or all of your weapons not breakable, or your shield not breakable by anything except magic, I like it. It's good.
Very solid ability.
That's actually something that's kind of slid over there. But weapons or shield. So like, does that mean if you're flow, then like both of your swords are hardened?
If you're running flow, both of your swords are hardened. If you are packing 2 or 3 spare swords, 17 javelins, and maining spear, all of those weapons are hardened. Assuming that when you cast it, you hardened your weapons.
Dude, how is that not flashy? I mean, all of a sudden you're rolling like, wow.
Usually, because you do it right off. I usually do it right off of spawn, so I'm not there and
Oh yeah.
yelling about it.
Yeah, for me, I almost always pop it right after I come up. There are a few edge cases where I don't. Like if I'm running against a Dispel Happy Wizard, I may wait and just throw off their game.
If you got a archer tossing red arrows, destruction arrows, and they figure out that you don't harden your shield, they just gravitate on you. It's like it's a big target. They can hit it. They go at it. But I don't know. And that's someone else that's not getting destruction arrows. That's a bait thing I do.
I'm a siege engineer a lot of the time, and shields are absolutely a target for my shield destroying stuff.
Does Harden stop siege weaponry from destroying your shield?
It just stops it from destroying your shield. It doesn't stop it from killing you.
That's kind of. I was wondering if you get hit by an arrow, it still just obliterates you, regardless.
Yeah, if you get hit by a single shot siege projectile, you're dead. Your armor's gone. Your weapons are gone, unless you hardened your weapons.
But your shield, which is hardened, is still there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you,
I like to imagine all that's left is like a shield-shaped hole where you used to be.
Yeah, so in that case, if you get resurrected rather than respawning, you would have your shield and not need that to be mended. So there is that kind of nice edge case, but
It's actually rather versatile.
the kind of downside I feel to Harden is it doesn't impact magic.
Correct.
So, and this is kind of where you have to decide what you're going to be hardening. Obviously, if you're not carrying a shield, just go ahead and pop it on your weapons. But if you've got somebody on the other side hucking fireballs like crazy, it may be worth it to put it on your weapons instead of your board, because that fireball's still going to burn your board.
Yeah, there's been times where I've just instinctively trained my shield against a fireball, even though it still gets destroyed.
I pretty much have to run a strap shield, so terraining Not something I do a whole lot of, sadly.
It takes a lot more setup to do, yeah, with the strap.
Yeah.
I'm working on that.
With my shoulder issues, I can't effectively run a punch. So one of the things I kind of like to point out is if you're not running against archers, you gain no real benefit of hardening your weapons, because the only non-magical weapon breaking effect in the game, besides siege, and siege is weird, is archery.
Yeah, archery. That's trying to think.
Throwies also destroy weapons too, right?
Well,
No, they don't.
Force bolt does.
Well,
Which may
what
be where
about
you're getting
rock?
that from. Rocks?
what about rocks?
Rocks are shield crushing.
There it is.
Yeah, the only arrows are weapon breaking naturally.
Okay.
Uh,
Force bolt.
what about that barbarian trait? It's like berserk.
Nope.
Does it make
Armor
them
breaking.
Shield break.
only armor breaking? Okay.
Yep, barbarians are always armor breaking.
Okay. So it's not like a shield breaking thing. Okay. They don't
Yep.
get the full scab. All
Right. They don't get the full scab unless they are in fight after death.
Oh,
And a hardened shield is a great way to shut down a fad barbar.
Yeah.
big sticks.
I've done it numerous times where I've had my hardened shield, and I'll just post up on a fad barbarian. And like I've said before, most of them are just kind of like a tunnel vision, just go. So once they hit the immovable object, the unstoppable force doesn't know what to do, and just flails.
Yeah. Well, they can either count or they can attack. You
They can
know?
do both. I mean, they can flail their arms while
And it's-
attacking or counting.
Right. But it's not like for 7 seconds they get real strategic. you
Yeah.
know?
Usually they try to get real strategic before those 7 seconds. And then they just go ham.
They try to time the ability and then just wail on you.
Mhm.
One of my favorite... There was an equivalent ability to hardening your shield called Improved Shield back in V7. And I assume in earlier editions, but I didn't play any of those. And I had just gotten Imp Shield. Back then, Barbar only went berserk on 2 lives. And I popped Improved Shield when the only barbarian on the other team went berserk, because they were the equivalent of shield crushing when berserk back then. And so dude just comes up, starts wailing on my shield when I've got warrior imp shield up. I'm like, yeah, take it. And I start wrapping him repeatedly in the butt until he dies.
Oh.
Could you have taken additional wounds? Or are you just doing it to be doing it?
Yeah, you actually had 2 points of natural armor when you were in berserk back then.
Ah.
Wow.
But you couldn't... All of your worn armor automatically broke.
Right.
So...
Oh, dude. Dreadnought stuff. Weird.
Yeah. Older editions of the game were weird. Barbarian Berserk used to be a lot more powerful, but a lot more limited in how often you could use it. But yeah, using Harden like that today, great choice.
I'll pull it off, even if it doesn't give you like a, even if it doesn't give you like a, the strategic hardened ability that's gonna counter something. If you can growl that out, right? It enhances your presence. You know what I'm saying? The RP aspect, you've activated an ability, now something different. You see them start to calculate a little bit, you know? But at the same time, wow. You'll if you pull it off right, they'll bounce back a little bit. You know? They're waiting for something to happen.
And just the gravitas of walking on the field with an enchant strip. That can change the other team's calculus. If they take that...
Now they know you're essentially a wall.
Yeah, or they may just take a moment If they take a moment to ask you to declare enchants, that's a moment that they're not paying attention as much to their fighting. They're paying attention to you saying what your enchants are. And again, those seconds are very valuable.
And you also become like you said, if you have somebody that's dispelling out there, it's just another way of drawing. You know.
Especially if it's just a harden, because you get that per life. So that's a bit of a waste of their dispel IMO, because you're just going to come right back with it.
Yeah. Especially if it's not a wizard dispelling. As of this recording, no one else has access to rechargeable dispels. That might be changing sometime within the next couple of weeks, though. As we're recording this, the Circle of Monarchs is getting ready to discuss a change to possibly give scouts a rechargeable dispel.
It'd be pretty great IMO, but anyway.
Scout with a rechargeable dispel.
Yep.
That's a little sounds pretty decent though. That's like it shuts down all the iron skins and everything else like that too. Or it can help at least to shut it down.
Yeah, it'll be like a charge 10, I think is what they're voting on, but
It makes sense in that a scout would be like somebody that would disarm traps, but
yeah, Scout occupies kind of a weird place in the game's meta, since it's more of a, hey, whatever cool thing you're doing, stop class, rather than anything else.
Yeah.
It shuts down everything. Yeah.
Or they're the one doing the really cool thing with their 2 enchantment slots.
Yeah. And
I'm the only one doing cool things. Everyone look at me!
yeah, oh, that's actually something that we need to point out, a common misconception about Harden. Because it's granted as an extraordinary ability, it does not count against your enchant limit.
Yep. Just how you're able to do Harden and Ancestral together.
and you can use it when you have protection from magic.
Or, my favorite enchant in the game, Golem.
Esol is also a good one.
Esol is another good one. I put Esol as kind of probably the 3rd or 4th best enchant for warrior, but we're going to go through and do a ranking of enchants later on in this series. So,
Okay.
Esol, that's the monk's level 1 trait. You can't be affected by verbals within a range of
verbals greater than touch.
There it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
You combine that with ancestral armor, very powerful.
Oh, it's so much fun. I got to do it once at a game at ELW. So much fun. But
I think after we cover ancestral armor, our episode after that's probably going to be ranking enchantments.
make our own tier list. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's going to be a really long one because there are like 40 enchants that you can get.
But you'd have then there you go. It's like your top 40 thing. You just break it down.
Yeah.
Casey sometimes.
Yeah. Amtgard's top 40. I'm looking forward to that a lot more now. Thank you, Cid.
Are you going to do the voice? A little bit of a scratch in there?
I may have to try to do a Shaggy voice.
There you go.
I can do it. I can do a ready or an answer voice.
There you go. Oh, we've gotten a little off topic, but
It happened. Harden's, from what I understand, reading on it and everything like that, Harden's kind of self-explanatory. Just as soon as you pop, use it 9 times out of 10.
Yep.
Yeah, really is not much to say about it. It's very, as far as enchantments go, very simple. It's very straightforward interactions, and like you said, Ren does exactly what it says.
Yep.
Yeah. The big thing about it is each time you pop, you have to decide to use it on either your weapons or your shield, and you can't carry. It's one of those enchants that you are only able to have one instance of it up at a time. It has a big brother called Greater Harden, which gives both your weapons and your shield. Now
It's like the interactions magically on it, yeah, uh, they're fairly simple, but Harden has this effect on like your whole game that changes a lot. You know, um,
Yeah.
Harden. If you've got somebody out there running heavy padding, you know, now, if you've got like light armor going, where that would usually like shred through you with like 2 or 3 hits, you got something that you can keep between you and the heavy padding. You know,
Yeah, like y'all were talking about earlier, makes everyone else have to rethink. Now all those people with the scab weapons are like, oh, I can't break through that. They have to rethink what they're gonna do, or just double down on what they're doing
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
hope you don't get.
I was at Winter War one year. This was still a V7 again. Warrior improved shield, same thing as hardening your shield, and dude had a massive red pole on the other side of the line, or scab pole today, just wailing on my board. I'm like, unbreakable, unbreakable, unbreakable. I ate up his attention for a good 30 seconds while I was just wailing on his
Yeah.
teammates.
That's like the biggest part of my job, going out there and soaking shit up. Hardened shield makes it possible to do that without like really expensive armor.
Yeah. And
Now
if you,
having, oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead, Ren, please. I
I was
talk a
going to
lot.
say, having 6 points of armor plus a hardened shield literally
Oh, yeah.
makes you that immovable wall that
Oh yeah.
have like good luck getting around it. So I can't wait for 6th level, so ancestral armor.
Oh,
Oh yeah, AA is a game changer.
Oh my god.
AA is the biggest game changer for Warrior.
Oh yeah.
Just changes everything.
Yep. Like prior to getting AA, I think E-Soul is probably the best defensive enchantment in the game. But once you've got AA, Golem just goes to the top of that list.
Because then it all carries over when you die.
Yep. Neat thing about Golem, actually, I'm going to go ahead and bring that up, is it makes your Harden persistent. So you don't have to reactivate your Harden at the start of each life.
Nope.
And actually, oddly enough, you can't reactivate it at the start of each life.
Golem prevents that, doesn't it?
Is it?
No, you can only
It's
have one
protect-
instance of Harden up at a time.
That's right. So you can't.
my
You
God.
only have your one hardened, so you cannot activate anymore.
Yep. And actually, if you've got something that... Oh, sorry, Haraldr.
I was gonna say, because I just tried to do some quick research this morning because I always forget when these are because I'm usually out of town. But where is it stated that you can only have one instance of Harden up at any time? Because it doesn't say that under the spell.
Limitation will only affect either the weapons or shield of the bearer, not both.
Yeah. It's
Well, yeah.
like
So
that means
So technically, you could have multiple instances of it up,
you could like
but there is no reason to, because you can only
Yeah.
have one of the two things.
I see. Thank
Because
you.
of that
Well,
singular.
practicality.
Because of that singular legal word "or" set in between, or either or, then it doesn't say both. It just says
Yeah.
one or the other. Yeah.
But if you get persistent from Golem, you can keep it up a really long time.
Okay.
Now, of course, if your Harden lasts more than 4 hours, you probably ought to see a healer, but
Ask your healer if your heart is healthy enough to play warrior.
Doing the
Playing warrior properly can be very stressful.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
one of the roughest events I've ever been to was an event where I played warrior, and the other team decided that it would be fun to camp the water fountains. Only source of water on site that was actually in game and didn't make you lose your enchants if you stepped off to get water.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah,
That sounds really rough.
that was a bad day, and that's kind of why I've never attended events at that site again.
That would, I'd have a real hard time with that one.
Yeah.
You're gonna camp my source of water, with a kind of. I mean, it's tactical, yes, but we aren't in medieval combat where we're actually trying to kill our opponents.
Right.
Truly,
At the end of the day, we're playing a game. We're not actually trying to kill each other.
Yeah, and blocking off a source of water is how you essentially put somebody into heat stroke, and then I probably wouldn't have been a very nice person at that place.
I wasn't a very nice person when they tried to do that.
Yeah, like you want to play that game, that's fine. Like you're using a foam weapon, it doesn't hurt. I'm just gonna slip every shot you have and get a drink. Sorry. I'm just not like I'm getting a drink. Whether or not you want to keep playing is all on you at that point in time. I'm not gonna.
What I would just start doing is walking through them while I was dead.
Yeah, like they can't. Nothing they can do in that regard.
Yeah. But camping the water fountains was definitely a dick move.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That was actually Winter's Edge's first formal event after V8 was adopted.
Oh, this is the event I was thinking of.
That was a winter
Yeah.
event?
Yep. We had a lot of folks come up from Neverwinter for that event because we had some big stuff going on. And
Oh, so these weren't our local WE people then. Doing this shit. Pardon my
we also,
language.
I have no idea who exactly was doing it because there were a lot of people there that I didn't know because that was Crystalline Chronicles, and a lot of people traveled to CC. That was.
He was also Kazan's knighting, if I remember.
It was.
First knighting.
It was his first knighting. And overall, I've got a lot of really positive memories of that event.
Just a couple of negative ones as well.
Yeah. Like, one of my all-time favorite Amtgard stories, which I will be telling 2 episodes from now, I think. Yeah, 2 episodes from now is from that event. Little teaser, I tanked a dragon.
Oh my god.
It's the best warrior stories.
Yeah. Circling back to Harden.
Yes.
I feel like there is one really tactical choice you have to make with it, and that's which of your equipment you use it on. And I feel like the choice there is there an archer on the other, or someone using a bow on the other team? If there are no bow users, just pop it on your shield. Because there are a lot more scab effects out there, or a lot more shield crushing effects out there than there are weapon breaking.
Absolutely.
And I mean, essentially, even with an archer, like most times that I've faced an archer, them actually hitting my sword or my weapon is a pretty low chance. Like, unless I'm just not paying attention to them. But if there's archers out there, I'm also massively aware of them.
Yeah, weapons are a small target. Shield is a big target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it's my big freaking war pole.
Yeah, there is that.
I did. I had a day where
I have a story about something like that. It was a Kingdom Day. Is a Kingdom Day event at White Oak, and we were doing a militia game. And the one game where I was unable to harden my weapon was the one game where I was blocking the most arrows with my polearm. Like, I just kept throwing it up there, catching an arrow, and be like, dang it! Broke it!
This was. I've got a kind of opposite side story. It was one of those rare events where I was running Archer. Just a day battle down at Iron Springs, forever ago.
Yeah.
And this girl named Puka has this like 4 or 5 inch wide great sword. And it's a good 100-foot shot. One of those, I'm just lobbing an arrow into the middle of the enemy formation at the start of the match. Seeing if I can either get something or make them spread out a little bit, just throw them off their game a bit. And she sticks her sword up in the air to try to block it. Ping!
Bye-bye sword.
Bye-bye greatsword.
See,
I think she was running Barbarian.
That's why you harden your weapon.
Yeah, that's why you harden your weapon. Stuff like that.
That's pretty hard.
Yeah, when I'm using my single great, if I'm ever using my single great in full armor, it'll immediately be hardened. Because my great, my shield crushing, armor breaking great, it's pretty wide. It's 4 inches, so I can use it as a defense. But it'll be hardened immediately if I'm running warrior with no shield. So
Yeah.
certainly.
And one thing that probably ought to bring up is there are like 3 or 4 enchantments that give you shield crushing. And if your opponent's running a shield crushing enchantment, your shield is still hardened against those strikes. So even if you just see enemy casters on the other side, they could be tossing out those enchantments, and it makes it worth it to harden your shield.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, pay attention, get a feel of what's going on the field.
Yeah.
Warriors need to know the magic.
Yeah, everybody should know the magic system.
But it's like you hear it a little more often than you should. Guys that are running melee classes, they never plan on casting anything. They don't think about it so much, Well,
As a warrior, you've got 2 enchantments. You've got 3 verbals.
You've got 1 magic ability.
Yeah.
Or magic ability.
While 2 of your verbals only ever affect you, you've still got them, and you should learn how to use them.
Absolutely.
I think that's really the thing that like takes you to the next level as a warrior. When you start seeing how the magic works, and I mean, then automatically you start getting, okay, well, harden is this, and that. This is how it works. This is how it doesn't work. You become more aware of that mechanic, and it doesn't just makes you a better player.
If I recall,
go ahead.
No, please.
I was going to say, essentially knowing like your verbal insult for one can lock down an opponent that's wrecking your team to focus him on just you. And if you're in plate, like good luck trying to get through me for the 30 seconds that I've got your attention only on. And then if you have smart teammates, they can go up behind him and he can't engage them until they engage him. So get enough of your teammates to swarm somebody with armor and then just beat them down. That's the best way I've found to take out another warrior as a warrior, is with the assistance of your team and insult.
One of the key things in the rulebook is teamwork is always overpowered. People forget that a lot.
When I'm playing warrior and I'm, anytime I've got a teammate beside me, I can tank hits. That's the thing I can do. I'll just step in front of all the hits, and if you're a good team player, you should be throwing shots while I'm absorbing them. That's how this works. That's what should be happening. So
one of my favorite warrior moments was at Gathering of the Clans, or Gathering of the Crowns, as I think we're starting to call it now. And I dove the back of an enemy team's line, and I took 7 or 8 of them with me before I just got swarmed by about 30 people. This was one of those games where they're like
30.
Yeah, I got behind the line on a team of about 300. Weird battlefield setup, not going to go into too much detail on it. Just dove the line, start taking out as many as I can, and just the entire thing turns and wham! I took more hits in that 10-second period than I had taken in the preceding 5 minutes. It was rough.
Yeah, that's a lot of people turning on you.
Yeah.
Real quick like.
That's why I like to play loud. I see stuff and I don't just call it out. I'm like, roar! This is happening. Roar. If you got your guys together, man, flankers will just tear you apart. You got no, the teamwork thing. No.
I feel like the key to warrior, and really to Amp Guard combat in general, is battlefield awareness.
Yep.
Oh my god. Weak spot.
Absolutely.
Not even gonna even No, that is a weak spot for me.
Well, your frontline
Any
fighter,
idea how to bring that up?
like in combat in general, as a frontline fighter, you should really be aware of what's directly in front of you. It's the job of your back line to assist you in knowing if other things are coming. Essentially, anybody using ranged weaponry or wizards or healers should be calling out flanking commands, like on people kind of trying to come around the sides of flanks, everything like that. Like, or even if you have something as simple as like a flank commander that just stays on a right wing or a left wing and then calls out when they're getting overwhelmed so the center line doesn't get caught. But
Archer is probably the best class for that.
yes, your frontline defender, if you're a center line warrior, you really shouldn't have to pay attention to the flanks. That's not something you should be paying attention to. You take your attention off the center line, which is usually full of people, and you're going to die from a slide shot from somebody.
Yep.
Your flank should have the ability to call out if they're being overwhelmed. That's where all the team effort comes into it.
Yeah. If you're not communicating with your teammates, you're wrong.
So essentially, the way to improve flanking and the flanking system, or to improve field awareness, is to improve your communication through your teammates. That's the best way to do it.
3 tasks every fighter should be able to do: shoot, scoot, and communicate. Or in our game, swing, shoot, and communicate.
Yep.
Do you ever find, because you start the battle off, the first thing you do is you use Harden, right? Do you ever find that this is has this effect of drawing your teammates' attention to you? Because now you've taught this ability. Now they're very aware of you. Does it ever cause you guys see like a clustering there?
I've never really noticed that. I think usually because like if you're saying something very repetitive right next to spawn, most people are like, okay, that's someone enchanting someone else or enchanting themselves, so I'm just gonna go do my thing.
Yeah, I feel like it was a little more common in V7 than it is today, because enchantments were a lot less of a thing then. They were still around, they were still very... Honestly, they may have been more powerful, but they just weren't as much of a presence. There was more of a point cost to them. So, today, there are enough enchants being tossed around that it doesn't really get noticed.
I will say, too, in a lot of the objective games that we played, if it's an objective game and not like a shatter type game, I've foregone hardening at spawn and hardening when I get to a lane I need to defend or something like that, just to make sure I get there first, to get that extra 10 feet of ground that may benefit the team too. I've done that quite a few times, and then while I'm on the line with my feet planted, I can harden my shield. So I've done that too, but I've gotten pretty good at planting my feet and calling out the harden enchant while fighting. It's hard to do, but it's a good way to make sure that your most heavily armed shield fighter is up in front, because if you hang back for that 5 seconds, that can be a lot of lost ground.
Yeah,
I can make all the difference in a quickie game.
yeah, we were saying that 90% of the time you'll want to pop it at spawn. This is one of those edge cases.
Yep.
One of my favorite
games.
Yep, one of my favorite books says that seconds are jewels beyond price in combat, and that is absolutely true in Amp Card combat. Incidentally, if you haven't read Starship Troopers, you really should. Don't watch the movie. The movie's awful. It is probably the worst film adaptation of a book I've ever seen. Now that I've really gotten us off topic.
Because I'm like, those guys could have really used some hardened shields when they were dealing with those bugs.
Oh yeah. And some ancestral armor would have been great too.
Yep.
Is there anything left to say? I feel like we've pretty thoroughly gone over it.
Yeah.
I feel the same. I don't really have any leftover questions on it, so.
I think we covered it. Yeah. Carry an enchantment script. Harden your stuff. Weapons or shields. Oh, that one was particularly handy. Finding out that all of your weapons are hardened. Thank you very much for that.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah, I actually didn't understand that. I didn't realize that if you have 5 javelins on you, a spear, and a short sword, they're all hardened. So how does quick question on that though? How does it work with the enchant strip? If you have an enchant strip hanging on your short sword,
The
do you have
enchant
to have
is on
enchant
you.
strip?
The enchant is on you.
Enchantments are always on the player. They are not on the equipment.
Okay, so as long as you just have that white enchant strip hanging off of something on you, then it's just whatever you state in the verbal.
Right. So
Well, then,
there's a really common misconception among assassin players that a particular weapon is poisoned. It's not the case. It's you are carrying poison, and all of your weapons have it.
So all their throwies, all their
No,
swords.
that's melee only.
Okay.
You can almost never enchant a ranged weapon. I know there were a few enchants that could be put on in V7. I don't know about V8. It's one of those weird questions that
Harden works on javelins though, which are throwies.
Harden works on your javelins, but ranged weapons are also indestructible unless being wielded, so javelins are kind of an odd one.
Okay. So like if you're holding a javelin and using it as a 3-foot or 4-foot spear with a shield and it gets hit, it's destroyed. But if it's being thrown, it's indestructible.
Right.
In sense. Okay.
about the enchantment strip on the weapon, I use Harden so much. I there's a white enchantment strip that has become a part of my warrior sash. It's just on there now, and um, it's just part of my kit. There's an enchantment strip on my warrior sash, and that's what happens. That's how that works.
I carry 2 enchantment strips with me when I play warrior. You've got to have them. They are an essential part of a warrior's kit. And an enchantment strip doesn't need to be much. I just cut off a couple of feet of yarn whenever I lose one, because I've got a skein of yarn that I bought for like $3 5 years ago now. I've barely scratched the surface of it.
Did you knit yours or crochet them?
No, I just cut off a strip and tie it on, because they don't have.
I do a braid of paracord for mine.
Because it just has to be 6 inches of visible drape. We got rid of the V7 rule where they had to be like 2 inches wide.
Oh, so it doesn't a strip of paracord? That would work.
As long as it's visible, yeah.
Huh. Cool.
Yeah, because you can end up tacking on like 6 or 7 enchant strips. I think I counted it up. There's a weird case where a druid or a scout could end up with like 30. Not.
Oh no, that would no.
Yeah, that's
It's too much.
6 inches visible drape. Does not have like any kind of like width requirement. It's just gotta be visible.
Yep. That was a big change when it came out. In V7 and prior editions, enchant strips had to be 2 inches wide. So for my warrior improved weapon back then, I had a spare class sash that I would just tie one end to my weapon and the other end to my wrist.
Well, that would actually make it a lot easier to equip and equip them. Because I've always kind of battled with that because it's not necessarily like a thing that most people are like really kind of a stickler about. It's like if you don't have Harden active, you shouldn't have the enchantment strip on. But if you're dealing with like this little white strip that might not be the easiest to pull apart and take off, but if it's a piece of paracord, you know, that's like a lot easier to just like pull loose, you know.
Yeah, you just tie
You're
it
also
on, take it
supposed to
off.
always declare your enchantments when possible when entering an engagement. So it's on you if part of my white strips are kind of part of my kit, so I put them on a strap on my bracer. And it's like if I don't say nothing when I don't say nothing, then they ask like, "Do you have enchantments?" And I say no. You know, it's still the same thing as if just walked up, not said anything, still, or not a strip on.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you are worried about it, you could just walk up with your strips on, and be like, "I don't have an enchantment."
Yeah, one of the things I'll do as a caster when I want to have nice enchant strips is I'll get ouchless hair ties and tie little strips of fabric to that. Those make great enchant strips.
They just go around.
Or you can
your
use them
wrists
to
so
do a
easily.
lark's head knot around a strap on your armor pretty easily.
Yeah, this sounds like it's a little off target, but this is definitely like an important part.
Yeah, I know we covered enchant strips very briefly in the equipment section, but I don't think we talked about how to make them.
Like this is like the warrior's very first like brush with enchantment strips, you know?
Mm-hmm. And since your big level 6 ability is an enchantment, it's something you need to know then too.
Cool. Okay.
Gives me Warhammer 40,000 vibes with all the like ribbons and stuff they always have on their power armor. If you attach it to your power armor, you can probably make it look that decent too. You can probably get it, especially if you strap it to your armor, you can put some decorative stuff on it with a white strip hanging off of it, and you've got decorative armor.
I've seen like legit, like with the stamp and the ribbon, like ancestral armor and hardened strips for a warrior.
And it would accentuate your armor too.
Yeah,
so you can be fashionable.
I think when I'm running around with my ideal enchantment setup, like my favorite thing to get, I've got 8 separate enchant strips on me. It looks nuts, but
so it'd probably be a good idea, like as warriors, if we're going to main warrior, to make strips ourselves for golem and the other things that we would look for to get enchanted with, and just have them with us.
Yeah, because enchant strips are probably the most lost item in the game, and I know as a caster, I like seeing people bring their own. I carry my own.
Like, they don't cost a lot of money, but they are time and effort and something you have to keep buying. So if someone has their own enchant strips, A, I don't have to track them down afterwards and get my strips back. B, if I don't track them down afterwards and get my strips back, I don't lose my strips.
So that's like taking heat off our caster buddies.
Exactly.
Teamwork.
It also makes you likely to get
because if all you have to do is say
enchanted.
the verbal and I slap the strip on, a lot less risk of you losing your enchant strips. So you're going to be more inclined to buff somebody that has their own strips.
You also don't run the risk of the caster running out of strips by the time
I was at Gathering the Crowns one year, and I asked a bard to change his list around to give me an enchant I wanted. He was like, "What's that do? What's the incant for that?" Hey, I don't have any strips. That's okay. I've got a spare. And he was able to give me the enchant I wanted because I had my own strip.
So it sounds like a good idea to potentially get a little clip to hold on you to have all the strips, or even just have them on you like Haraldr had said, and just declare that you only have whatever enchants you have. So if you've got Harden and Golem, then you just walk up, say Harden Golem or Harden Shield Golem, and then the strips that you have on you say that you have that. Essentially,
I carry a few spare strips in my pouch or in my belt pouch, and they're not much. They're just like a foot of yarn that I can tie on.
I think I'm going to try and do the whole, like the Warhammer 40K thing with it almost looks like the wax stamp.
Fringe.
And like the wax stamp with the big, really pretty ribbon on it. I think that'd be really cool to just have mounted to your armor in places.
Found a really neat tutorial on how to make those.
I'm gonna look at that. And I'm gonna find out.
I actually had a magnetic white for a little bit. lost it somewhere though.
But, about a year ago, I found a really neat tool or tutorial on how to make those, and I'll see if I can't track it down and put it in the put it in the video description.
That would be awesome, because especially with how Seth has taught me how to sew, I should be able to make some decent stuff, and it'll give me a chance to work on some stuff too.
I am gonna get going. I will see y'all next time. Have a good time.
Yeah.
Catch you later, Haraldr.
Yeah.
See you.
Oh, hey,
Bye.
Seth, since you joined late, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hey, I am Captain Sethrial McQuill, and I saw people in chat and wanted to know what was up.
Random encounter.
Warrior chat on Harden is what we are doing today.
Fight! Yeah, I realized that as soon as I hopped into chat. Okay.
So I think we've covered most of what we need to.
Yeah, if there are some questions left on Harden, it's going to be some of the odd ones that somebody just thinks of while they're in the middle of doing something. Like all the basics are covered.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. Thank you, everyone, for.
Wait. You have to tag all of the other episodes and plug them.
Okay, yeah, this is our 4th episode. Please go back and watch our previous 3. And this is definitely going to be our longest episode.
Oh wow.
All of our others are between about 20 to 30 minutes. This one we've been recording for about an hour. Yeah, I think once I edit it down, it'll probably be down to about 45 minutes. But
get some of our off topics out of there.
Yeah.
I'll probably leave most of those in. But join us next month for when we cover True Grit.
Yeah.
All right.